again, remember I said I posted that thing just earlier before we started, like 1 minute, everyone. I have an old friend, now that we're talking a long time ago now, who's still in the film industry and works a bit with Amazon. And, sometimes just keep chatting up. And this person just said to me, look, Henry, I've heard some stuff working. It's nothing that big as far as I'm concerned, but you might find it interesting. And would you like to hear it? And me, because I just want everything, always everything, all the time, I said, yes, please tell me. And the stuff he told me was something that connected to an old source, a completely different source that told me about when I did like a thing about Christopher Nolan coming on and Aidan Turner being in consideration. There were some connections and stuff there to it. And there were some other little things a bit with it as well. And I really found it interesting, and it really got my mind sort of racing about the possibilities and other things. So I wasn't originally just going to share anything with it, because it's nothing like what he feels is very, or she feels very major. And I basically just messaged this person saying, hey, look, the stuff that you share with me, I'm doing a live stream. Can I share some of the stuff that you talked about with me? Can I maybe make it into a separate video? And this person said, yeah, just maybe cut out this certain bits. And yeah, so I can tell you all about this stuff. So I have, as you probably heard me going on and on, have received some new information regarding Bond 26, Amazon, and MGM. Now, to start off with, let me just give a bit of clarity here. Amazon announced like a couple of months ago they're investing like multi-billion dollars into massive new productions. Now, Amazon right now are in the mindset of, we want Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power level Game of Thrones TV shows. But what we also want to invest in is big cinematic blockbusters and great dramas that we can put into cinema, get great prestige, and then put on Amazon Prime. That is definitely the goal they're looking for. And part of this big investment, what they've got planned, is they really want to really exploit the MGM library to give it the fullest trial at a rejuvenation, a reboot. I'm talking about new versions of RoboCop, new versions of like Pink Panther, and of course, so many other things, and of course, James Bond. Now, according to my source, Barbara and Michael are saying, oh, we haven't really thought about it. It's a couple of years away. I've been told they're just saying that to cover themselves up, because they have been thinking about it, and they've been thinking about it hard. They have been working. They have been hard at work planning the next iteration of James Bond. They're just not ready to release anything. So they're sort of like strolling us along. Now, one of the things I have heard, which has got me really excited, is a lot of people have been saying, oh, Barbara and Michael, they're slowing down. They don't want to get the films out all the time. They want, only every now and then. They're not passionate about it. I've been told bullshit. I've been told bullshit about that. They are working with Amazon to work out a new regular release of Bond films. Maybe not as like, every 2 years like Brosnan, but looking at potentially every 3 years, a new Bond film. Amazon have the resources to help them with that. There's talk about, while one film is being written, getting another one written as well. There's plenty of different ideas being chucked about on that. There's definitely going to be no spin-off TV shows. Amazon have really tried to push for it, but Barbara and Michael are saying, no, it's Bond, that's it. You'll get spin-off stuff like 007 Road to a Million, but there won't be a Felix Leiter show, a origin story of Stavro Blofeld. It's Bond. That's what they're focused on. That's what they want to do. But Amazon are really behind that, and and I'll repeat this again, they're trying to aim to try and do a 3-year cycle of Bond films, getting them regular, big, whatever they want to be. But my contact also said, and following on from my other contact, which I, again, so the stuff that person said turned out to be quite false, but it is, according to this person, again, they've talked about it's Christopher Nolan going to be directing the next James Bond film. That's what they're saying to me. I thought they were going to release it, as my old client says, last year to coincide with the trailer of Oppenheimer, but they're going to release like in January. They're going to say like they've started like pre-production development and stuff of Bond 26 with like Neil Pearson and Robert Wade coming back on. And then with the release of Oppenheimer in the summer, announced Christopher Nolan's going to be the director. And that's the sort of new timeline that I've heard. Now, the other news that I'm allowed to share, because there's some of it, again, I'm still not allowed to share, but a lot of people like myself were hoping that Bond 26 would maybe start shooting this year. It's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is even though Nolan has an idea, he doesn't want to rush it. He wants to make sure it's as brilliant as it can be. So he's going to be developing the idea that Neil Pearson Raid will start off based off his own notes, and they will start shooting it next year. And, I talked again, I'm bringing this guy up here about Arron Taylor Johnson. Arron Taylor Johnson has worked with Christopher Nolan. He was in Tenet, and he did actually a very good job, if you don't mind me saying so. So there is a relationship there already built. Just saying, putting that out there. That by the way, that whole thing about Arron Taylor Johnson and Christopher Nolan, that's my speculation. That's not what my contact has said. I want to make that very, very clear right now. But I think that's really all the news I can sort of give you. It's essentially that despite what you might believe, Barbara and I also agree with all of us. We need to have a more regular cycle of Bond movies, maybe now looking at every 3 years. Amazon are really behind MGM to be as big as possible, rebooting its brand, really helping Bond in any way it can. It's committed to big cinematic experiences and like Power of the Ring level size streaming shows as well. It really is getting behind all this stuff. And I think it's a really exciting time to be a Bond fan, And to finalize on that, again, I've heard from this contact, it is Christopher Nolan who will be helming the new era of James Bond with his vision coming in. They haven't decided on an actor yet, despite what anyone says, and they probably won't just for a little bit longer. But there have been preliminary talks, as I mentioned, with actors coming and saying, hi, yes, nice to meet you. Well, if I was James Bond, this is how I would want to play, and this is my vision of the character. So, yeah, please know, everyone, that Barbara and Michael are actually really hard at work creating this, and they don't want to wait God knows how long for another film again. They really, really don't.